Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the sixth of a series of basic Python programming course. I'm Sarjun and you can call me Sarj. I'm a data scientist, a data science trainer, and a mentor to the youth. So before we start, please help me with my socials as I'm trying to reach out to as many people as possible. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, subscribe, DM, send me a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Now let's get on with today's lesson. Okay, so let me prepare my screen. Okay, so you should remember how to get to this Jupyter notebook from your Anaconda prompt. So today we're going to be covering string manipulation. Okay, so what is string manipulation? So string itself, as you know, it's a variable that can hold 0 or more characters, such as letters, numbers, spaces, commas, and many more. Okay, so what we are going to be doing is we're going to be doing indexing and slicing, manipulating the string. We're going to use string modifiers to manipulate the string, and we're going to use string validators to check the string properties as well, right? Okay, so we're going to start off with indexing and slicing. So indexing is the process of referring to an element of an iterable variable value from its position, and it's also known as the index of the variable, right? So we're going to use, indexing and slicing. So we're going to use slicing is a process of getting a subset of the elements from the iterable based on the variable indices. So to use that, we're going to use this index operator with this bracket. So let me just create some space so that it's clearer. So brackets, we're going to use the index operator with these brackets. And remember, Python variables are zero index, so they start off with 0. So the 0 refers to the first element, 1 refers to the second element, and 2 refers to the third element, and so on and so forth. For the index retrieval, we will also be using negative indexing. Negative indexing will return the end of the list variable values. Okay, so let's start off with a quick recap of what string variables are. This should not be alien to you. This should be easy for you to understand. So let's assign person name with the string value of Chuck, right? And then do a simple print of person name, as well as do a print of the type of person name, right? And we run this, you can see Chuck, class is a string, person name refers to Chuck, and the class, the type of person name, data type is string, right? So now we want to do some string manipulation. Let's create the string. I'm going to create I, not T, I love Python, right? I want to extract the first element. So in order to extract the first element, I'm going to use txt brackets 0, right? As I said, 0 refers to the first element, and 1 refers to the second element, and 2 refers to the third element, and so on and so forth. You can see that, why am I getting Y? Let me see, text 0 gives me Y. Okay, because I never, okay, let me start this again. Sorry, because I never run it. Yep, sorry. So just because I ran it, it kind of saved what I previously ran. Okay, so yeah. So let me run this again. Text. And then I run text 0, it's giving me I. Right, so remember, sometimes you might have saved the variable earlier when you're doing some testing. I was doing some testing earlier, and Y was, I reversed it kind of thing. So yeah, doesn't matter. Just make sure that you run it, and the text 0 should give you the first element. What if I want to display all the elements of the string variable? I think that's quite simple. You can just type text. I can also do a text with the colon. This also gives me all the elements. So you might be thinking, that's quite cool. So this colon actually does that, but usually I don't have to do that, but I can just put text, right? But text with this gives me flexibility of all the elements, right? Now I can use display to with the length option to ensure that I am printing all the elements. So any value that's before the colon is known as the start value. So automatically 0 is the start value. Anything that's after the colon is the end value. So we know that the length of text will be the end value. So let me add, and let me just check what is the length of text. So in this example is 13, right? So I'm going to remove it. So it's going to give me everything from 0 to the 13th, right? If I run this. So if I also can put in 13 here manually, right? I can hard code it, but that's not advisable. It's better to put in the length so that when the text value changes, it always gives me the start till the end. Sometimes you might be thinking, why do I need to do this? Sometimes you want to start somewhere in the middle until the end, depending on the text that comes in, right? It's dynamic, so you can just program it dynamically. You don't even have to put 0 here, right? So you can also remove the 0. Python will know that it will start from 0 until the end as long as you leave it blank, right? What if I want to specify only the first 6 letters alone? So there are 2 ways. I can do text. I can do 0 to 6, right? This is the first 6 letters, which means I love, right? If not, I can do just, I leave the first one blank until 6 also gives me the same thing. So no difference, right? Right. I can remember Python indexing starts from 0. So indexing starts from 0 in Python and ends with n-1, right? So if I want to display all the elements from the second character till the last, I must do text 2 until the end, right? Because 2 is the third character, right? First character is by 0. The second character is referenced as 1. The third character is referenced as 2, right? Till the end, it's 2 until the end. So it's love Python. What if I want to get the elements of the 8th character till the, sorry, it's not, it's THIRTEEN, 13th character, right? So it's going to be, if I want to display all the elements from the 8th character till the 13th character, all I have to do is text, I call out 7 until 13. Remember, 13 is inclusive, right? So as long as I put 13, it starts from the 7th all the way until 13. So 7th all the way until the 13th, I get Python, right? As simple as that. Then display the list from the second letter till the last second letter. So we're going to be doing something like this, 1 until -1. So 1 is the second character or letter all the way until the second last, which is the -1. So -1 is the last second character. So when you do that, you can see that it starts with the space, which is the second character, all the way until Python without the n, which is the last character. The last character is removed. I can also use the reverse indexing method and use text. I can do 2 dots. Okay, so the first element is the start, the second element is the stop, and there's a third element, which is the rate of increase. So the rate of increase usually is automatically 1, right? So if I put 1 here, it will just print out everything I love Python as 1. If I put it as 2, it will jump every second alphabet. So I will print out, it will miss the space, it will go to L, it will miss the O, it will go to V, it will miss the E, then it will get the space, and so on and so forth, right? It will just jump every second alphabet, right? So if I do it -1, it's going to give me everything in reverse. So it's going to give Python, I love Python in reverse, and this is how it is. Now display the reverse string using indexing method with the third last letter. So I want to, same thing, I just want to pull out the third last letter with the indexing method. So I just use text, I use this, -1. This is going to give me I love Python, but I only want the third last letter, which is L in this case. So all I have to do is put another bracket, -3, right? It gives me L, right? So this L here, the third last alphabet here, right? After it's reversed, I want the third last letter, which is L. Okay, do some quick practice now. Take 5 minutes. Okay, request the user for a string name input. Assign a variable username with input to input name, and then display the variable username in reverse format. Right, it's as simple as that. Okay, so how do we do it? Right, we do assign username equals to input. Please enter your name, right? And then what do? Very simply, we print user name. We know how to do the reverse, right? -1. So let's run this. So let's put Grace, and you get Grace in reverse, right? Simple. Now let's move on to string modifiers. So string modifiers are a set of built-in methods, functions that can be performed on strings as follows. So length is a function, right? I think we have used length a few times. I think it shouldn't be something new. Count is a method. We'll be using it soon, okay? Find, index, split, replace are all are different methods. So they all are very useful methods, right? They help us apply specific methods and techniques to a variable. So let's see how it works. So let's set a variable called text equals to I love anaconda, right? Now I want to display the length of the variable text with the length function. So this one is quite simple. So I print length, I pass in text. Simple. This one should be very simple. So it's 15, very easy, right? I love anaconda has 15 characters, including the spaces. Don't forget the spaces. Space is very important, right? Now I want to use the count method, right? I want to use the count method on the variable text with O. I want to know how many O letters are there in the word anaconda. So I do a v count, right, equals to text. So here is where it's a bit different. Instead of applying the count before, we're using a method. So a method means I do it after. And I open up a bracket and I pass in O inside here, right? And then I print v count, right? It gives me 2. So there are 2 O letters inside the sentence I love anaconda, which is the fourth element, or in other words, there's the fourth element, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, the 12th element, right? So it counts 2, so it's the fourth and the 12th element, so that's 2. Now, we can also find the elements at which index they are at, right? So we return the index, so you can use the find method. So v find equals to text dot find find O, right? Note there are 2 O's here, right? So it will return the first occurrence of the O, you'll not return all occurrence, just the first occurrence of O. So v find. So we can see it's in the third element. So let's go back to I love anaconda. 0, 1, 2, 3. Yes, that's correct. So it's in the third index. So that's correct. It works. It's working correctly, right? We can also use the v-index method to find the index of the variable that it starts with, right? So in this case, I want to find the variable text love. Where does it start with inside the word text, right? So we do v-index equals to text dot index, and I pass in LOVE, right? As simple as that, right? This will display the first occurrence of that set of elements. Where does it start off with? So we can print v index, and it gives me 2. So if I go back to anaconda here, you can see that love 0, 1, 2. The L starts at 2. So that's correct, right? I can also understand what's the difference between find and index if they both do pretty much the same thing, right? So the difference is, let's try M. M is a character that's not inside my text. So how does it work in this case? So let's try vfind equals to text dot find M, right? Then I print vfind. I get a -1. So when the letter is not inside the text, it will return me a -1. Whereas for v-index, the mechanism is different, right? When I use index, when I use M, it gives, when I want to print out v-index, sorry, let me print it out. It gives me an error because the substring is not found. So it depends on whether you want an error to be raised or you want -1 as the response. It's up to you. It depends on how you want to code it, right? So there are different options, right? Okay, the split option provides the ability to convert it into multiple smaller components based on the specified separator value. So assign vsplit with the split method on the variable text value. Remember, split use the default separator value is actually space. So just to let you know, vsplit is equals to text dot split. So because if I don't pass in anything, it's just going to split based on spaces, and then I can print vsplit. I can also see the data type. Okay, the reason why I want to do this data type is because it actually returns a list. We will be learning list in the subsequent lecture, right? You can see that it's I love anaconda. It's 3 different elements inside the list. So this is a class of a list, right? Let's assign a variable vReplace, okay, with the replace method. So we are going to try text dot replace. So what I'm going to replace, I'm going to replace anaconda with Python. Right, that should be fun. And then you're going to display the variable v replace. We're going to replace the variable v replace, right? And then you'll see that it's actually I love Python. The conversion to uppercase. So you can actually use what we call the upper method, right? So so there is actually this upper method, right? So how do you do that? It's basically v upper is equals to text dot upper, and we print v upper, v upper, you get I love anaconda, right? As simple as that. Okay, similarly, you can also do a v lower where it converts everything to a lower text. So let's try this. So v lower is equals to text dot lower, and we print this out, v lower, it's all small letters. We can also do what we call title, where it converts the first letter of every word into a capital letter and everything else into a small letter. So remember, it converts the first letter of every word into a capital letter and converts everything else into a smaller case, right? Equals to text.title, and when I print it, I left anaconda, right? Okay. You can also do capitalization. Capitalization is slightly different from vtitle because it converts only the first letter of the first word only, right? Capitalizing the first word, right? First letter of the first word, right? So for that, we just need to create vcap equals to text dot capitalize, right? And we print it. Simple as that. You get I love anaconda. Only the I is capitalized here, right? Okay, we can use this thing called the swap case to convert lower to uppercase and upper to lowercase. I don't really see the reason for why we should do that, but just try it out. It's a available option, right? So it's basically text dot swap case, and you can print it out. It works. So it converts all the initial capital letters to small letter and the small letters to capital letter. Only the I and the A gets converted to smaller caps. You can also concatenate each element of a date with a set parameter using the join method. So for this example, we'll create a variable called date with 08, comma, 03, comma, 2022, right? And then we'll create another variable called separator with dash, and then we will assign a new variable called new date equals to sep.join join, date as the parameter inside, and we will display it. Display the new date. You can see it's 08/03/2022. The ability to reverse using string indexing is easy, but requires the index from and to the string is to be reversed. If not, you need to know the reversing function. But there's actually a reverse function that will return the reverse of a string input value object. So how do you do that? We assign a variable called VREV equals to the reversed. So for that, just hold on a bit. How it works, because this one is a little bit tricky, so we'll be careful. So we use the reversed function. So it's not exactly a method, it's a function, right? And then I print out this VREV, right? But it's not giving me a reverse function, it's giving me an object. So in order to visualize the object or print out the object, there's just a slight tweak you need to do to this. So let me do this again. Okay, so vref equals to reversed of the text. Okay, there's one more thing you need to do. You need to create a separator. Earlier I created a separator, right? A blank, empty string. We call it empty string. Okay, we need to assign a new variable. Vref output is equals to sep.join with the variable inside set to vref. So you need to join the objects within, and only then can you print out vref ut output. Right? You can see I love anaconda comes out in a reversed manner. Okay. You can also do removing leading and trailing stars, star asterisk value, right? So how do we do that? Let's assign a variable text. So let's call this text equals to this particular value. I'm going to copy it. Okay, I'm going to assign vstrip equals to text.strip. So it will remove the trailing stars. So inside, I'm going to put in the asterisk sign. So it will remove the trailing stars, trailing asterisks, and the leading asterisks as well, both the trailing and the leading asterisks. And when I print it, it will remove those trailing, and obviously it won't remove the ones inside, right? But it will remove the trailing and the starting and the ending asterisks. So now, quick exercise. Take 5 minutes, request user for a string name input, assign a variable username with input to input name, then display the variable username in all uppercase format, and display the variable username in reverse format as well, right? Okay, how do we do that? So again, require user name equals to input. Please enter your name. Okay, so here I'm going to enter. Before I enter, I need to do a upper, right? I want all in caps dot upper. So this is quite simple. The next thing I want to do is I want to print. Okay, I want to print. I can just do empty string dot join reversed user name. Everything in one line. That's it. So I want to type in the name Grace. Press enter. It gives me all in uppercase. Here it does it, and then this is in reverse, right? GRACE, Grace. Okay. Moving on. String validators. So string validators are a set of built-in methods that can be performed on strings to validate if they are of the following option, right? We can check whether they are is alphabet, is alphanumeric, is digit, is title, is upper, is lower, is space, ends with or starts with, that kind of thing. You can do checks. So let's start off with the use of is alphanumeric checks if the string variable consists of all characters being alphanumeric only. So remember, it's alphanumeric. It's not, there is no spaces. If it has spaces, then it's not alphanumeric, right? So let's set a variable called tlnum equals to text dot is lnum and then we want to see whether this is true. Technically, you will think if it's true, but actually it's not because it has spaces. So that defies the rule. But in what if it doesn't have spaces, like in this example earlier, right? And I print TLNum, right? It's true. So here, this is alphanumeric, right? It only has alphabets and numeric values at all. I mean, altogether, it doesn't have any spaces, right? The use of isAlpha checks similarly if all characters are being alphabetical values. So similarly, T alpha is equals to text dot isAlpha, right? Quite simple, quite easy to do, right? And then you can print T alpha is false because there are spaces, as I said, right? Even though they are all alphabets, since there are spaces, they are not all string or not all alphabet values, right? So now I remove the spaces. I try it out again. The same thing is alpha. I paste this and then I print this as well. I run it. It's true. Excuse me. So the use of isDigits checks if the string variable consists of all characters being numeric values. Okay, so in this case, they are all characters being numeric values. There are no spaces, so I just make it easier. tdigit is equals to txt dot isdigit, and you print it out. It's true. Similarly, I can check if the string is title, checks if the string variable consists of capitalized letter for all the words. Right, so it is, in this case, it is capitalized. So let me check. Let me set title is equals to txt dot is title, and let me print title. It's true, right? Similarly, I can also do this. The use of isLower checks if the string variable consists of lowercase letter for all the words in the string value. So let's try this out. So in this case, I'm going to check tlower is equals to txt dot islower is lower, and print out tlower. And it's true again. Again, I got another one more check for T upper, and you can see all these are uppercase. So I'm going to do the same check. T upper equals to text dot up is upper, and then I can do a print. You can see all these are true or false values. So it returns a true or false depending on whether it fits the criteria or not. The use of space checks if the string variable consists of space values only in the value. So in this case, we only have a text, which is a space value here, right? This is a space value, right? So we're going to look t space is equals to text dot is space, right? And we are going to open bracket, close bracket, print t space, and it's true. Okay, let's check whether the use of ends with checks if the string variable ends with a specific letter in the value, right? So in this case, I want to check whether this variable text ends with anaconda, right? So text equals to I love, let me put a L with capital L, anaconda, just to be consistent. I'm going to tew ends with equals to txt dot end ends with anaconda, and I print out tw, and it's true. Similarly, I can also do a variable text. In this case, txt equals to you love anaconda. It's just all about you. tsw equals to txt dot starts with, and I'm going to check if it does it start with U, right? And then display the variable. So I'm going to print TSW if it's true. And yes, it's true. Okay, sorry. Quick one. We're coming to the end. Do a quick practice. Okay, take 5 minutes. Request user for a string ID input. Assign a variable user ID with input to input ID. Then check to see if the user ID starts with the S value. Okay, so if it does not start, if it starts with S value, we will say that it's a valid user ID. If not, we'll return it as invalid user ID. So here you have to use the if else condition. So how do we do it? User ID is equals to input, please enter your ID, right? And then we're going to ensure that since you're going to be checking it, we just convert the user ID into user ID dot upper just for consistency, so that when we check, it only checks one upper value, right? So if user ID dot starts with, so remember we want to check whether it starts with S, print valid user ID. If not, else print invalid user ID. Simple. Not IF, ID. Okay, so when we run this, let's try one with S1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's valid. Let's try one that does not start with S but P. 5, 6, 7, 8. It's invalid. That's it. Right? So we have come to the end of today's lecture. I'll see you in the next lecture. See you. Bye.